Carla Esparza, and new. She is the champion, the Cookie Monster, who went. I think she's the fighter who has the longest time in between title runs, right? Back in 2014, she was the inaugural strawweight champion. 2022, nearly 8 years later, we shouldn't really say 7, but 8 years later, she wins it again. She is a two-time strawweight champion, just like Rose Namajunas, who was proclaiming herself as the greatest strawweight champion of all time. I don't know about that anymore, but the grand point here, AJ, is who is more at fault for the lackluster performance, the lack of action here? Was it Carla Esparza's wrestling knack, the issues stylistically she was able to give Namajunas, or was it Namajunas just not wanting to pull the trigger?
Man, I mean, as much as I want to say it is the wrestling prowess of Carla Esparza, the fact that she's Rose is in there scared to be able to be taken down. I think as much as I want to say it's Esparza's talent and the potential of that, I also think it a little bit goes more down to Rose Namajunas being scared of the takedown, of being held down, of the previous match in which they had, because that's exactly what happened, man. Being mauled and being held down, beat up, face rubbed in the mud. It holds something, man. There's always that one little aspect about it, and if you don't have that moment where you crack that person in the beginning and get them scared of you, it's a hard one to deal with in a fight, man. I think that's what it looked like a little bit more, man. A little disappointing for the Rose fans, man. I was telling you, Derek, when the mics are cold, I was a little disappointed in this fight, man. I wanted to see, like you were saying, I tell all my friends, you want to see one of the baddest women in the world, man, the baddest strawweight in the world, go at it. She's gonna come out with some heat out the kitchen, hands, feet flying, good at defending ground games. We're going to see a match. We're going to see a tactical battle here. Sure, we saw the tactical battle, but not the entertaining tactical battle we wanted, man. And it was a little unfortunate, man. How you feeling about the whole event?
Well, it's like a duality for me. On one hand, I kind of saw the fight playing out like this. I didn't think it'd be this low action, but I did think that Carla Esparza and her wrestling was going to give Rose Namajunas a lot of problems. I thought she'd be able to secure more takedowns and actually hold Rose down. But that's how impressive Rose Namajunas is. I mean, Carla Esparza went 2 for 11 on her takedowns, and those takedowns that she got, I mean, it lasted all of 5 seconds maybe. She had a total control time of 22 seconds. Namajunas only had 10 seconds of control time. But the thing that really disappointed me, AJ, more than anything, to be honest with you, is Rose Namajunas' her kind of attitude in the cage and then her comments and statements after the fight. And the reason why is because obviously if you're a champion and you lose, you're going to take it hard, right? If you really care about that belt, you're going to take it hard. You're going to think that you won. So that's fair. I'm not mad at that. What I'm mad about is that some shades of her second fight against Weili Zhang entered into this fight. Now, AJ, let's take a trip down memory lane. Do you remember when Rose Namajunas was fighting Weili Zhang the second time? It ended up going all 5 rounds. I don't remember if it was a split decision or unanimous, but it was a close fight. Rounds 1 and 2, arguably, Weili Zhang, she won those rounds, right? And Rose Namajunas was going back to the corner, and she was being flustered. She was getting a little uncharacteristic in terms of what we've seen her as recently, because her persona today is much different than the thug persona that she had coming into the UFC. She was much more edgy, wild, you know what I mean? Had a chip on her shoulder, a little thuggish. That's how you get the nickname. But she's the sweetheart in today's, in the eyes today. Now, what did we see against Esparza? We saw a little bit of that stare down. She's staring at Esparza while Esparza's walking back to her corner, because Esparza is very emotionless. She's just kind of in there, indifferent, right? I guess that's the right term to use. So there's a little bit of that. But the key was at the very end of the fight when she snagged that last second takedown, which really didn't amount to anything. It was just a takedown. Like there was no damage, there was no nothing. And you could say the same thing as Esparza, I guess. But she kind of got hyped up like, oh, fuck yeah, like I won, you know what I mean? Like all that. And I was just thinking to myself, I was all like, dang, bro, like, Rose, man, did you see how the rest of the fight played out? You know what I mean? Like you didn't. Where is this coming from? This all feels so uncharacteristic, and it feels because you're not in that flow state. She never reached that flow state that is so beautiful to watch. And this is no disrespect to Rose. This is just an off night, in my opinion. However, do you agree with me there? Did you see some of that uncharacteristic energy come out from her during this fight?
Yeah, I saw exactly what you're talking about, and I didn't really characterize it as that when I was watching it. I was more seeing it as Rose knowing the fight, how the fight was going, realizing that she didn't quite perform to her absolute ability. I agree with you on the flow state, man. Never hit that flow state that she was really trying to get into. But also at the end, trying to hype herself up a little bit, trying to feel like there was something a little bit more behind it because of the lack of effort or the lack of experience that was being had by Rose. I think that's really kind of what, for me, I saw that manifesting as those look downs, as the getting up and being hyped and almost pushing Carla Esparza at the end, but still having that like thuggish mentality, that roughness that we saw to her, that I kind of like in a fighter. So I was down with it. I saw it happening. I was like, all right, cool, man. I'm with this. I like it. So I see what you're talking about, because it did feel a lot more forced than natural.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you like that or not, it definitely was out there and it was palpable by Rose. And I think that did play a lot into the fight as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And believe it or not, I'm surprised we've even been able to spend at least 5 minutes speaking about this matchup because that's how low action it was. I'm actually surprised we're able to keep talking about it right now. But the last thing that I want to say is that Carla Esparza is the new champion. So where do we go from here? Obviously, Namajunas had an off night. And when you're champion, it's tough when you have an off night. But being that Carla's the champion, you already have Jessica Andrade calling her out. You have Marina Hot. Basically, I'm just going to keep it short. The entire strawweight division is like clamoring to say, like, I want to fight Esparza. Like, do you think, here's the big question, can Esparza, in her career, because this, I mean, if she loses the title here, who's to say she gets another shot back at it, right? Will she ever be able to make one single title defense now that she has the new strawweight championship? Or do you think that the title is just going to be skipping hands all over the place now that there's a new champ?
You're saying over and under to 0.5?
Yeah.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, man. Okay. I think she can do it once. I think she can. I don't know about twice. I don't know once a really talented, multiple striker and wrestler goes, but we'll see.
Well, Ioane and Jacek versus Weili Zhang might be the #1 contender fight, right? And last time I remember, Ioane beat Esparza in her first title defense, and Esparza's first title defense to win the championship. Andrade wants to fight her. Who's to say? Marina Rodriguez wants to fight her, but she just lost a very close split decision against Esparza. I mean, like I said, man, I'm going to say... no, I don't think we're getting a title defense. And you see how, like, I'm not like a super huge fan of Carla Esparza. I think her wrestling is very effective, but I think that now, especially we saw it's always been one-dimensional. We know what she's trying to do, but I think that in a lot of other circumstances, she might not have gotten awarded the split decision in this fight. You know what I mean? It's like you got to beat the champ to be the champ, and even though everyone hates to hear that, we saw it with John Jones and Dominic Reyes. You know what I mean? We've seen it with a bunch of other champions. So I will just leave it there. Carla Esparza and new. And folks, in case you forgot and you didn't want to place the prop that I gifted you guys, I said Carla Esparza on points. Let's not just take the plus money we were already at. She came in at plus 170. I said, give me the plus 225 on points. And Carla Esparza did it on points. So I will, that is my Mother's Day gift to all of you fine folks. By the way, happy Mother's Day, folks.